The Secretary of Transportation's claim depends on which of the following assumptions? Well, what is the claim? It says here in the second sentence, the Illisota Secretary of Transportation claims that this will increase the tax revenue available to fund the public transportation by at least 60%. And the that here is a 60% increase in the current per gallon tax on gas. So, the argument is that a 60% increase on tax will equal a 60% increase on revenue. And so really, since this is a plan or a forecast about the future, one of the assumptions is that it's really going to do what we say it's going to do, or that something bad isn't going to happen. So when you have predictions and plans, a really, really common underlying assumption is that that's what's going to actually happen. So A, the annual budget requirements for the public transportation system will not increase. So the budget requirements don't actually affect revenue. So even if the budget changes, this could still be true, that the 60% increase in tax increases the revenue by 60%. Does the claim assume the number of regular gas buyers will increase? No. In fact, it assumes everything stays constant. So that's not an assumption. C, the percentage of Illisota's traffic that comes from long distance trips as opposed to short commutes will not change. Well, you use gas at the same rate, whether it's a long distance trip or a short commute, leaving aside highway mileage versus, street mileage. So this is kind of a false choice, something outside the scope on too small a scale rather than too large. D, the number of commuters who use public transportation in Illisota will not decline. Public transportation is outside of the scope of the question because people who use public transport don't pay the per gallon tax, at least not directly. So that leaves us choice E, which must be it, but why is that right? The Secretary of Transportation's claim depends on the assumption that a significant number of drivers will not switch to using public transportation to minimize their gas purchases. If that did happen, you would no longer have the same tax base and therefore would not have this equivalent increase in tax revenue. So the assumption was that everything's going to stay the same, or that nothing strange is going to happen, like choice E.